wrote a letter.
My apologies, guys. I just realized I forgot to start the recording earlier. Go on, Rainey.
7 years ago, I sent a letter from myself dated and signed by me as a private citizen to the chairman of the then Planning and Zoning Commission, Mr. Greg Lee. I think a few of you may have served with Greg Lee at that time. And so this is important to know because this isn't something that just happened lately. So 7 years ago, residents, and 20 years ago, residents of Pompeo Road were concerned about, we're living on Pompeo Road because of its beauty, because that's where we want to raise our children, raise our family. We want to see the beautiful stone walls and the turkey in the morning and the deer that eat up our gardens and the stone walls and the beautiful flowers. And that's why we've all chosen to live there. I've lived on Pompeo Road for over 60 years of my life. Probably, with maybe the exception of Jeff, probably the longest, undoubtedly the person who's lived on Pompeo Road the longest period of time. My parents bought a house when I turned 6 months old, and I lived there until I got married, moved out, bought a home, a couple of different homes, moved back 40 years ago last month, actually. And so over 60 years I've been there. So I feel like I can be a good spokesperson for everyone else here. And that's why I've taken this responsibility and trying to do the right thing for everyone, So going back to this letter 7 years ago, it was directed to Chairman Lee, and it was about some of our concerns then. I'll just read it quickly, and I won't read the whole thing, but quickly, so the members of the audience will know what I was talking about 7 years ago. Dear Chairman Lee, I want to personally thank you again and to thank your commission members for allowing me to meet with you last evening regarding the establishment of ordinances and regulations for potential solar projects that may come before your group for review, action, or approval at any time in the future. To reiterate, the sole purpose of my visit with you was to voice our concern regarding any potential solar proposals which would negatively affect the rural character of our community as we know it today and substantially reduce all homeowners and any value of their property values, as well as having to look at rather unsightly solar panels and solar fields each and every day. Each time that we hear about a solar presentation on Pompeo Road, it raises more concerns and more questions than answers, and I said very scary. And back then, I asked the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission to adopt strong regulations that prohibited any solar field within 3,000 feet of any existing home or business. Not only in Pompeo, but was written for the community at the time. And that no solar project can ever be viewed from any of our rural roads within our community. This regulation would be in keeping with the town of Thompson's mission statement to preserve the rural and quaint character for all residents to enjoy, and the reasons that we have chosen to live on Pompeo Road. And then I just go on to indicate that we don't have any objection to individuals putting solar panels on their roof. Matter of fact, a couple of people within the last few weeks have put solar panels on their roof. Nobody objects to anything like that. Home businesses, nobody's objecting to anything like that. So that was 7 years ago. So here we are in May, and we're having this meeting in May because I want it to be fair to everyone. You'll remember that back in the fall, your board unanimously approved a scenic road designation to Lowell Davis Road in Wilsonville. It was a great idea. I didn't know at the time that there's such a thing that existed. So I looked into it when I found out about that, and I thought, wow, this is the opportunity probably for us to take advantage of this. And I was going to do it right away, but I knew that a good friend of mine and his wife, who vacationed 6 months of the year in Florida, were not going to be back from Florida at that time. And I wanted them to have the opportunity to be here when there was the public hearing so they could add input to it as well. So that's why we're meeting tonight. So I wanted to be fair to everyone involved. I indicated to you that I sent out, letters to all the homeowners on Pompeo Road. There were, and those were, there were 66. What I didn't realize at the time, is that I should have sent them to all home and landowners. So I think there were 9 parcels of land on Pompeo Road that there were no homes, so they didn't get that initial letter. However, since then, I've gotten 3 or 4, Dave right here for one, who didn't get a letter because they didn't realize that it should have gone to not just homeowners, but landowners, DeRocher and others who have given their verbal approval. So I want to bring your attention to the chart that I have that lists every home, every landowner and homeowner on Pompeo. It's in your packet on Pompeo Road, starting from one end, working its way to from Buckley, working its way to Wilsonville. And on the second page, I do a recap there, and I give you the people who returned their petition to me, and those that didn't, why they didn't, to the best of my knowledge. So 58 signed petitions were returned, as I said, almost immediately, which represents well over 70% of the land and homeowners on Pompeo Road. And you really just need 51%. You need, according to the regulation, a bare majority. Since then, I've gotten an additional 4 verbal approvals. 3 homes on Pompeo Road at this time were for sale, so there was nobody living there. 2 of them have now turned over, and they're new owners, but they're brand new owners. So I was far along in this enough in this process. I didn't want to bother them in their first month of being a homeowner. And 1 is still a home that's vacant. So that leaves 9 out of 81. So not essentially 9 petitions that were not returned. I can tell you that 1 is a Jehovah's Witness. He called me, said, as a Jehovah, we don't believe in signing petitions, but I fully support your project. So we're down to 8. I know maybe 2 or 3 that are probably not in favor, but I know 2 or 3 or 4 that are in favor as well. So an overwhelming response of the homeowners in Pompeo Road want to see our road designated a scenic road. So I think with that as an introduction, maybe what I've done is I've taken just about 100, I think 99 or 96 pictures up and down Pompeo Road. Actually, it was during the fall because it was when I was going to do this, but again, I wanted to wait for our Florida friends to come back. So if you just want to run through them one at a time, so the commission members who are not, hold it right there. Now take a look at this. For those of you who are not familiar with Pompeo Road, you don't see this in the state of Vermont. This is as bucolic as it can be. You can move along, Kara. The field that you're seeing there and the barn that you're going to see a few slides down are probably that barn is the most photographed. We can hold up. Probably the most photographed barn. I would dare say in northeastern Connecticut, if not in the state of Connecticut, if not New England. Very often, people are stopping by that road. I see people who are here who live right there who can tell you that people stop by all the time and take pictures of that barn and the land around it. And that, quite frankly, is a testament to Jeff and 4 generations of Pompeos that came before him who keep that property absolutely pristine. And it makes us all very proud, makes us all want to live there. So we can continue if you want. So just homeowners who are here, a gentleman who sells eggs on our street. People walk over there to get their eggs for $3 a dozen. Just random pictures of homes that are beautiful with beautiful trees and shrubs and flowers and stone walls, nature. We all get to see all the nature that's there on a daily. Look at that log cabin. How beautiful is that? You don't see that in Vermont, ladies and gentlemen. Keep moving along. These are all current pictures of Pompeo. Now, hold it. Now there's the barn. I mean, it brings tears to your eyes. It really brings tears to your eyes. Yeah. Make sure that, yeah, that you just don't see that. You don't see that in your Yankee magazine. You don't see that. Look at that beautiful home. Look at the stone walls. Look at the canopy. And one thing I want to point out, if you drove up during the day today or any day when the sun's out from Buckley Hill, that first quarter of a mile, third of a mile, you drive up and it's all canopied with beautiful trees. It feels like you're in a botanical garden, for crying out loud. Then you get to the top, and that's when it opens up with the barn and the fields, and then it goes on from there with brooks and streams and everything else. Look at that. That's the picture that everybody's seen on TV and Yankee magazine, other places. That's thanks to Jeff and his family. Look at that. You guys don't have to drive up north in the fall this year to see beautiful foliage and beautiful roads. Horses, horse farm, absolutely beautiful. I think there's a picture, a close-up of those horses. Nice little farm, well kept, spectacular. Look at that. The owner is here tonight. I could talk about these all night, but we really got to move on. That last picture, by the way, just go. I don't know if you can go back. That's one of the homes that was for sale that I wasn't able. I didn't get an approval. There was nobody in there for a long time. It's now sold. Look at a white picket. That's okay. Nice white picket. Look at that. I don't know what's that. A 19. So who would know that? 1930. It came by my house, standing in my driveway. Standing in my driveway. Lynn and I were standing in my driveway taking pictures, and son of a gun, what comes? I mean, you couldn't.
No.
Script that.
Come on, mine's a roadster, come on, convertible, mine's a 30, that's about a 27, 26.
27 to be exact.
Was I off?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good guess.
Look at that. I caught.
I don't guess, I know my old cars.
So I think we're probably coming towards the end, but Sarah will continue going through. So, so I think this presentation makes it very clear what we're trying to preserve. It's funny, we had a presentation just before ours that was sort of the opposite. It just turned out it wasn't planned. It just happened that way that the two hearings were tonight. But one is for, and certainly not against what those folks are doing, but one is for some housing, some high-end housing, and one to conserve what we have. I will tell you also, as we're coming to the end here, nice white picket fence, there are 173 roads in the town of Thompson. Town roads, town accepted roads. This comes from Marla, who's our inland wetland person, and is on top of that. Knew it like that. She printed it out for me today. There are actually over 200 roads in Thompson. When you consider some roads that have been discontinued, when you consider the highways, those are not part of this. So 173, and to the best of my knowledge, there are only 4 roads in Thompson that hold right now the distinction of scenic road. One was the very first one when this ordinance was passed in 1990. Late in 1990, Chase Road in Thompson was declared a scenic road. A few years later, 2 other roads, one in Aquatic and one, and I believe East Thompson, Randall and Dutton Road were given the title scenic road. And up until, so for about 18 years, there were only 3 up until last fall. Lowell Davis Road applied, and certainly, you know, you look at this, I don't see that on Lowell Davis Road. You guys unanimously approved that designation, so I feel good about this. But so this would only be the 5th. And so that less than 3%, for somebody who might say, well, we can't have all the roads in Thompson scenic roads. Even with this approval, should we get it this evening, less than 3% of the roads in Thompson would be considered scenic roads. So, but, you know, that's a remarkable low number, I think, for a town that prides itself in being a rural area and being a quiet corner, so to speak. So, I think, thank you for running through those. I had dreams, nightmares the last couple of days thinking that wasn't going to work, but thank you for making it work. So, I'd love to answer any and all questions that anyone here has this evening. I don't know what your process is, Blackie, but
Any of the commission members have questions?
Alan,
Ernie?
you want to explain what this is?
Alan?
one more thing I forgot that was
Yeah.
very, very important. It's in your packet, but these folks need to hear it. There are 7. Oh, wait, where was it? There are 7 criteria. 6 criteria for a road to ask to be designated a scenic road. And we need, and only one of those 6 need to be met. And we need 5 out of 6. So let me just read to you the designation of scenic roads in Thompson. Be it ordained by the town meeting of the town of Thompson, Connecticut on April 17, 1990, pursuant to provisions of section 7-149A of the Connecticut General Statutes, the Planning and Zoning Commission may designate town highways or portions of highways as scenic roads. No state highway, so town roads, no state highway or portion thereof may be designated as a scenic road under this ordinance. Section 2, very important. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall consider designating as a scenic road only those roads which are free of intensive commercial development and intensive vehicular traffic, and which meet at least one of the following criteria. At least one of the following criteria, and we ace 5 out of the 6. 1, it is an unpaved road. That's the one we don't need. It's not an unpaved road. 2, it is bordered by mature trees or stone walls. You saw the pictures. 3, the travel portion is no more than 20 feet in width, and it's well under 20 feet in width at all sections of Pompeo Road. It offers scenic views. It blends naturally into the surrounding terrain, or it parallels or crosses over brooks, streams, lakes, or ponds, which it does all of that. So it's important to note that all of the criteria has been met. Almost 90% favorable response. I have a third point that I'm missing now, but I think I've said enough. Alvin, go ahead.
Rennie, just to make a very small point, it will not affect what we're talking about tonight, but reading your letter 7 years ago, you were concerned about solar.
At the time, yes.
What do you think today?
I couldn't be more concerned about it than I
You'd
am
be
now.
more concerned. I'm not.
Yeah.
And
I
why is
understand.
that? Why is that? Because on Pompeo Road, you have a 2-wire system. For somebody in that beautiful pasture that you love there, wanted to put in a solar field. Eversource or whatever would never do it. So you have a Y system on Pompeo Road. You need a delta, a 3-wire system,
3 feet. 3 feet.
3 feet.
3 feet.
So that's great. I kind of knew that, but
Oh,
you know, but
okay.
we still would want the road to be designated scenic. It's just, it's prestigious. It deserves it because of its beauty, because of all the work that Jeff and his family have done over the years to preserve the beauty of it. I think it's a crown and it's a crowning achievement for them and for all of us who live on this on that beautiful road.
Well, continuing with my handout, instead of looking at our ordinance, I actually went to the statute and dug into 7-149A. Now, you mentioned that of the 6 criteria, you met 5. If you look at page 2, Pompeo Road is greater than 20 feet.
I don't know where you begin and where you end, but.
Curb to curb. Every one
I
of
don't know
those
what curb to
telephone
curb
poles
means.
on that
pavement.
Pavement to pavement,
pavement, the width of the pavement, none of them are under 20 feet.
maybe where you took them, but I took a.
But you're still good enough, so.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't want to
Yeah.
argue it.
But that's who I am. When you say no, so you
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
3 yes, 3 no. And all we need is 1 yes.
So you're good.
I know that you're not opposed to it, but
No,
you just want to point this out, yeah. I guess I'll go back and check those areas, because they may not be the ones that I measured, but I was very careful, because I want to make sure that everything I said here was correct.
well, you made the statement that none of it is greater than.
Not the ones that
20
I did, not the measurements that I
Right.
did.
Just to correct.
Okay, Brian,
Just on Lowell Davis Road, do you remember the conditions that we put on there? One of them was defining the public way, right?
I can go get the folder and. Where they can met.
I'll leave it up to the commission members who want to dig into that, but I remember one of the conditions we put on there was the public way was defined as a face of wall to face of wall. Just to establish that. I just wanted to point that out, but I think it's important to note that we establish. the public way. It kind of goes along with.
John?
No, I just have to ask for Rainey, crossing brooks and streams, where are they?
We're down at the Wilsonville end, you've got ponds there,
On
down,
that there?
down by the corner where
Not that I can, but I don't,
where Dick lives, yeah.
you know. 80 years that I've been here, I don't recall that, other than that's Marcus Pond, you're talking at the intersection, yeah, okay.
any other commission questions? Hearing none, John G. LaRochelle,
Well, I don't have a big speech, set up and everything, but I'm kind of concerned about all the rules and regulations that we've been putting up with. All right, the first one is the planning and zoning. If we're gonna do anything, we have to get a hold of them and get the okay. And now, if you make that a scenic road, we're gonna have to do another the advisory board, we're gonna have to bring it to the advisory board, and you were saying, like the stone walls and everything. If you have to repair your stone wall or straighten it out or something, you gotta go down and get a permit for it. And if you wanna cut a dead tree that's hanging over the road or something, you gotta go to the plan.
I'm not the expert, but I don't believe that that's correct.
It's
Right.
just so in the lawns. That's why I established the public way, because if you do face wall, the face wall allows you to do the stone repair. That's why I'm saying the public way is established between those two lines. So in other words, do the work on the wall. So in other words, I can do the work on the wall.
But what about cutting down trees? Can I read
Wow.
part of the ordinance? Just
go
I
for it,
think
Sandy.
it's cut down, but I've seen plenty of trees. If you ever drive down around Pompey Road in Stowicki over there, holy smokes. Matter of fact, one fell down not too long ago. And it knocked the power out, but nevertheless.
Can I
Go ahead and
part of
read
the
it, Sandy.
ordinance?
Floor is yours.
Any highway, a portion of any highway designated as a scenic road shall be maintained by the town in good and sufficient repair and impassable condition. Nothing in this section shall be deemed to prohibit a person owning or occupying land abutting a scenic road from maintaining and repairing the land which abuts the scenic road if the maintenance or repair occurs on land not within the right of way, paved or unpaved of the scenic road. So you can do work on your own.
So whatever I please. All right, now, if you pass this also, do we get some kind of a break because we're on, as far as tax? Do we get a break or something on the scenic?
Yeah.
Talking of the tax
I'm talking as a private citizen tonight, but I can tell you that if a solar field showed up on Pompey Road where it was in sight from any homes, the property values would drop 40 to 45 to 50%. That's based on the assessor's estimation. The town would lose a lot of tax revenue because those homes would be, we'd be paying a lot less because our values would have defaulted.
Speaking
Okay.
about tax revenue. You better say yes to that woman over there because we need all the help we can in town. All I hear is that taxes are gonna go up, taxes are gonna go up and there's no business.
Okay,
So
well,
you better.
let's keep the discussion to the topic at hand, and I appreciate what you're saying, but you can bring that up at another meeting, but this is a public hearing addressing.
But that goes for development. And that's what Rainey's saying, that he doesn't wanna see development around.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, so,
Develop according to the zoning regulations.
Right, and now not only you're gonna have zoning, but you also have to go to the advisory board on the scenic highway or the scenic road.
You're talking the
Advisory
audience.
board?
Yeah.
all right,
Okay, so we're not gonna get a tax break and we can do whatever we want.
That was-
Cheryl Pompeo.
Yeah, don't say that.
Cheryl, you have the floor.
They can start there. These are some pictures that I took of the less than scenic parts of the road. My name is Cheryl Pompeo and my husband has elected me to speak tonight. The property we own on Pompeo Road has been in the Pompeo family for almost 100 years. My husband is the third generation Pompeo. While I can't speak to previous generations in the 35 years that we've owned it, we've never made any money from this property. It was a lot of work and significant money to maintain what is there now. We are against the scenic road designation because we believe this is being done at our expense to preserve the view of a few neighbors who live directly across from our open fields. I believe they don't want to lose their view. Most people who live on Pompeo Road would not be affected by any changes to the designation because Pompeo Road is quite developed and there is very minimal road frontage available for any development except our acreage. I also must point out that Pompeo Road has become a main thoroughfare for people traveling north and south. The increase in traffic and speeding over the years is remarkable. There are tractor trailers, trailer dumps, and dump trucks that regularly travel the road. Comparing Pompeo Road to Lowell Davis Road is like comparing apples and oranges. Lowell Davis is sparsely populated and probably is 1/3 dirt. We feel we've been good neighbors and good stewards of the land. We've resisted offers from developers over the years. Now that we are unable to farm the way we used to, it has forced us to look for ways to monetize our property. We have looked at raising animals that are easier to maintain than cows, such as pigs and chickens. We're looking at house lots and solar. We find it unconscionable that a petition to limit our ability to profit from our own property is before this board. It seems discriminatory, punitive, and selfish. Particularly since we've worked so hard and spent considerable money to maintain the property for the past 35 years. Current zoning regulations appear to be appropriate to maintain the country feeling of Pompeo Road. We note that 80% of the town is in the same RR18 designation. We urge the board to reject this petition. We also ask that the town perform a traffic study to establish how many vehicles are traveling the road on a regular basis. I would also ask each board member to travel the road to confirm for themselves how little road frontage that would be available to develop, with the exception of our property, is available for any business endeavor and the lack of necessity for such a designation before taking a vote to change the current designation. We feel we shouldn't be penalized or punished because we have the beautiful properties. Cheryl Pompeo.
Thank you, Cheryl. Arthur Helmus?
Excuse me, man. What are those?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
This
well,
is Mr. Art Elvis. He is with T-Tech Solar and he represents us.
The photos you gave us.
What about them? They're to distribute among the board,
Yeah, I
so
know,
they
but-
can see the less than scenic parts on your road that didn't make it into the
Oh,
display on the
okay.
screen.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
ma'am,
Yes,
so those pictures I just looked at and everything, those are of various houses on that road.
all visible from the road.
Can
I
I-
would take it from my car window.
May I finish what I was asking, please? So in other words, those, excuse me?
I'm sorry, what was your?
May I finish what I was gonna ask? So from those pictures, that means from, say, the point of Pompeo Road, which is where you both live. Okay, plus I know your husband very well, but from that point going down towards Passay Road. That is, because that, what's that other road down there on the left there, where what,
Oh, that little Lapierre Road?
LaPierre Road, thank you. No, but that used to be a junkyard down there. So when you bear right, you gotta bear right to Snake, then you bear left again, you keep on going. So you're talking from that point towards Passay Road is pretty much where these pictures were taken. Thank you.
okay, Arthur,
Good evening. Thank you. And thank you to the commission for opportunity to speak. The Pompeos asked me to just come and talk about a little bit what we've discussed in the past about potentially developing their property for solar. And I apologize for my back and the back of this, but
Janet, can he use your easel?
Absolutely.
thank you.
good thinking.
Good thinking.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, the Pompeos approached C-Tech Solar. They had been looking for a way to monetize their property. They're heading toward retirement, looking for a way to make income from the property. They've owned it, as Jerry said, for maybe 90 years. Put money into it, put a lot of work into it, but they feel that they can no longer do that. So they're looking for a way to make some money from the property, allow the property to help them in their later years. We went through, as Rennie showed, there's, and I hope we got your name right.
Yeah, close enough.
There, the property there, along the field, along the barn, along the road, second wall, and then, field that they use it to generate money from the property. We have looked at a number of different options to help them develop solar that would provide them with income. And, we looked at a couple different locations. One is that field. We don't believe that that's feasible right now. We are looking at instead placing solar back in the woods where they're currently clearing trees. So it is property that all the trees will be either cut down entirely or for the most part. The closest a solar array would come to the road is about 100 to 120 feet. That's enough to screen it from any views. It would not impede or in any way impair what we believe to be a designation as a scenic road. Any solar array that is proposed must go through the proper review and approval processes that ensure that it is consistent with and in compliance with the regulations of the town and the state. So before we bring any project to the regulating authorities for approval, we ensure that they are in compliance. We work with Eversource to make sure that the lines are supported. And that is our effort right now. We have looked at it in depth to ensure that as cars pass, either approaching it from below or up above, that the panels are not visible and they're either currently screened or will be screened from the site. Now, the field itself is, as I said, it's not feasible right now. We will look at that down the line. Pompeos would consider allowing natural growth along the wall, along the roadside, in compliance with the scenic designation, in order to provide screening 4, 5, 6 years down the line when that area might be developed. Currently, it's not in place, but over that time, 6, 8 feet of screening would grow and would allow the solar array to be installed there without any compromise of the scenic designation, because you would have natural screening along the.
Okay.
So we will continue to work with the town with the state to ensure that every regulation is met. The town has recently passed updated ordinances that promotes the development of medium and large size solar within the town. This array would provide about 400 to 500 homes, low to moderate income homes, with clean renewable energy from that array. So we, obviously this is not for consideration here tonight.
Yeah.
But we do want to just introduce it to the town, to the neighbors, and to the board to demonstrate what we're looking at and give a preview of what will be coming down the pipe in 6-8 months, maybe a year.
Whereabouts would the nearest place that you can hook into? If you were to, is there a place that you can tie that solar array to get the power? Where would you have to go run the power to?
As the gentleman on your right said, Eversource does run lines up and down the hill. So we would convert those to 3-phase lines and run those out to the substation.
The substation was what I was
That
trying to
would
say.
The
violate
substation, Mr. Chair, would be on Route 200 on the bend, so they would have to come down, go up Buckley Hill Road. Tie in.
Okay, thank you. Any
That's
other
the only way.
questions? John?
So what, if any, disturbance would you have for that scenic road, other than the view?
Well, the view would be screened, so we're looking at complying with any screening or ordinance, the ordinance requirements for the development of solar in that location.
How would that not violate section 7-149A when it says no commercial?
Solar is permitted within this zoning. The zoning that was established for the.
But once that road is established scenic, it would take this right off the table.
Within a certain boundary, potentially. But it's also, that's one of the considerations that is taken into consideration by the siting council in evaluating whether or not an array should be approved. But every array has to go through the same process and can only be built if it is in compliance with ordinances. But that's really something for another day. We'll have much more in-depth evaluation as we move forward.
Is there anyone else have any questions? Yes. Your name, please. State your name.
I'm sorry, Susan Olson, 148 Pompeo Road. I'm not opposed to this at all, however, and speaking with people who have had these types of farms built in their communities, they have suffered well issues because we all have houses basically that are over 50 years old on that road. Some are newer, but the majority of us. Well issues as well as septic issues because it disturbs the ground so much. So could you maybe walk everyone through what that would mean to our communities?
And just briefly, because we can get into.
Yeah, that's kind of getting off the.
Geoscrews are used to fix the array to the ground. They only go down about six feet maximum. Because the array itself is a non-permeable surface, there is water collection. We have 2 areas for water collection for any type of runoff within the field itself. So everything is engineered, designed, and approved by P&Z, by inland wetlands, to ensure that there is no change in the gross water flow from the wetland side.
Any other questions, either for Arthur or Mr. Bourgeois?
I'd like to make a statement.
State your name, please, for the record. I know who you are, but we need it in the record.
Bourgeois. I purchased land back from George Pompeo many years ago and built a home there. We have restrictions in our deed because he told us at the time he wanted to make sure that we were having a farm there and there would be no commercial stuff, what have you. So we put in our deeds a restriction, no chickens, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a number of the other people have the same thing. We bought it with the intention that it would be a farm, okay? So making a commercial thing across the street is violating what they originally gave us as a deed, okay? And I think this is really an about face.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address the public hearing?
Can I say just one thing? I traveled down, that was me in the old car over there, and when you're going down the road. And the field is on this side, it's got an arch to it, believe it or not, and you can see just the tops of the trees. Maybe 3 or 4 feet, and that's no lie, you just go down there and you look off in the distance. Because there's an arch, like I said, and it's hidden behind there.
Where is this?
On your road, and
Behind, just where, behind the field that they're talking about, or?
correct.
Okay,
Correct, when you're
Yep.
on the road and you're going down
Yep.
and my car's a little bit high. And I can even see just a little bit of the trees in the background.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't think there'd be any problem, I don't know.
all right, any other questions or any
We've
other,
got Valerie in the Zoom room.
Pertaining to
Valerie?
pertaining to the road.
Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. I have 2 questions. The first is whether the Planning and Zoning Commission received my letter regarding this topic.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, Valerie, it did come through.
Okay, thank you. It wasn't mentioned.
It will be read.
And then the second question, unfortunately, doesn't have anything to do with the public hearing. However, because the meeting has not been recorded fully, is there an issue regarding that?
It's being recorded by pen and ink. So I believe that the majority of it was covered.
Yeah, just Valerie, there'll end up being a note in the manual minutes that the recording was started at 7:40, but the rest of the recording will be available as always.
Okay, thank you.
Cindy, do you have that
Yes, I
letter?
do. You want me to read it? Yes.
Please.
I received it today. I'm writing it, this is from Valerie Clark. She emailed it to, the town website, information section. I'm writing in support of the application to designate Pompeo Road a scenic road. This is a beautiful road. It meets the criteria for a scenic road. Continuing the effort to preserve Thompson's character as a beautiful rural community, designating Pompeo Road will be a nice addition to the town. Please read this letter to the record at the public meeting. Sincerely, Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road, Thompson.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything for the public hearing? Anyone?
My name's Laura Hackett. I live at 194 Pompey Road. I think you should pass it because the people that live on the road, and I know you guys maintain the town beautifully, honestly. The people that live on the road also maintain their properties beautifully. And it's such a narrow road. You know, it's not that S curve. It's a tough road to like have a lot of traffic coming up and down that road. So, and with the way the people that maintain it, I think it would just do it justice.
Well, that's why I would like to request again, a traffic study be done on that road, because I think people would be amazed if they knew the cars up and down the road. It's not a little one car, cow path anymore. It's a busy thoroughfare from north to south, and it's pretty much cars all day.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak? Name, please.
James Ryan, I live at 255 Pompeo Road. I was just wondering what or how this would affect CLMP's tree trimming program.
CLMP's what?
Tree trimming program?
Tree trimming program.
Shouldn't.
I don't know the details to it, but I think that if I lived on that road and they wanted to trim some limbs so I wasn't gonna lose power, I would give them a thumbs up.
Right.
I believe that before they come to cut your tree down or trim your tree, whether you live on Pompeo Road or not, as a property owner, if the tree's on your land, they approach you first before they do it.
I think they also have an easement for maintenance of trees along the line so that they can access it.
Mr. Chair.
But
Hey, John,
I think with this ordinance, CLMP will have to come to the commission in order to do that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because there is a limit, they take the outside wire on the pole. And it usually has to be within 20 feet from the pole, so because,
Okay.
that's what they use.
All right. Anyone, anything else to say?
Yeah,
I've got Valerie again.
I'd like to keep these for the record. Absolutely. Thank you.
You've got
That's what I was
Valerie.
trying to say
Yeah.
before.
Valerie Clark?
Yep, sorry about that, Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. I did have one more question because in the Zoom room, we could not hear Mr. Santos. Could someone who's not Mr. Santos repeat the words he used about how you measure the traveled portion of the road, please?
Just project, Brian.
Face of wall to face of wall is the right of way.
Base of what?
Base of
Wall,
wall.
like a stone
Of
wall.
wall. Thank you.
All right, Dave,
Cindy, didn't the DPW director have a letter or
Yeah,
something?
you received that letter.
I don't have it in my packet. I didn't know.
actually, I didn't see it either.
think I saw it either.
I saw it somewhere. Oh, you know what? Reading your memo, I think online.
Okay,
After I picked it up, I saw it. Okay.
okay,
I'm sorry that there is,
might not have come
yeah, I think it
for the
was.
packet, okay, let me, it is in here. Look at it.
I need to take a motion.
Well, let Cindy speak and then you can go and close, yeah.
I have it in my hand at least 5-6 times, believe me. Well, while I'm looking for it, I'll let you know that, according to the ordinance, the responsibility of the zoning office to, send notification to all the homeowners, and that was done on May 12th. And then I made reference to the numbers in my memo. Wonder if I attach it, did I attach it to my memo?
I saw it. He didn't have a problem with it anyways.
No, he does not have a
He
problem.
inspected it, he went down the whole road.
Yes,
inspected it.
I mean, I can go get it on my computer.
No.
Use what
Okay,
Alvin just did here, from what would be the face, Brian said from the wall to a pole is pretty much. would be-
No, at the pole, he measured the width of the asphalt, and that's what they're talking about.
seriously.
Just the pavement. All it was.
All
I
right,
didn't have a problem.
sir,
Yeah, I have one thing. to say.
name please.
I'm coming to that, sir. Dick Majersic, 317 Pompey Road. The Majersics have been on Pompey Road since 1921. When they came from Europe, they settled on Pompey Road. At that time, it wasn't Pompey Road. My whole family, my aunts and uncles were brought up on that road since 1921. I learned to drive on that road at 8 years old.
Mhm.
My father said, it's time for you to learn how to drive, there's dirt roads. It was always farm country. And it's the beauty of the road, it's farm country. You can sit on a front porch and enjoy the day. Enjoy the birds, enjoy the animals. And you're not far from town, yet you're far enough away that you have peace and quiet. So very much so, I am for scenic road.
Thank you. Guess we're waiting for Cindy to come back, right?
Yeah, she's gonna print out the DPW director's letter.
We have a confirmation that the letter was positive as far as doing that, whether you want to wait or
No, I'm good. I was just,
if not, I don't hear anyone else banging the drum to speak. Motion would be in order to close the public hearing.
Make a motion
to close
the public hearing.
Motion made and yours was a second, right?
I'll second it.
Jane made the motion. State your name so he knows.
Jane Zalty.
See, she didn't even want to say her name.
Yeah, I've got the letter.
Well, they just made the motion to, well, but they
No,
haven't,
you mentioned
they haven't
in the
voted on
public
it.
hearing,
They
so
haven't voted on
I
it.
can read the letter.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, after the on-site review of the stormwater plans. Nope, that's not it. Oh my God.
Favorable.
It was in the email pack.
It's okay, Cindy.
I read it in the email pack. I was gonna question you about it.
I wanna
because I don't
finish.
say it's a paper one, but-
You read it verbatim, I want it.
So tonight, vote on closing the public hearing. John Lanky, vote on closing the public hearing. Yes.
John B. Lakey, yes.
Dave Paplosky, yes. Yeah, John Rice.
Mine said it was yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salty, yes.
Mike Gogol, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes. Charlene,
Darlene Langlois, yes.
motion passes unanimous. Discussion of the public hearings, possible action. We'll start with the applicant Jason LaValle. PZC 2307. Questions, comments? Motion,
I make a motion that we accept P and ZC 23-07, Jason Valley, 0 Riverside Drive.
Yeah, second.
I had some questions on that. I
Go.
thought I wanted to say,
okay, we'll take the questions.
well, I just want to say that. Not that I'm against it, but having what's going on with our budget in our town. And what you're gonna be paying for property taxes, for what we have a chance for special education need, we could be paying them, that could be $1 million bill. In a couple of years on our taxes for special education kids with all the kids, you know, there's a chance it could be 100 kids in that. You know, and from what I understand, it's got about $100,000 in taxes, so that's $1 million gonna be put on the taxpayers for could be on the school,
Okay,
the big burden for the taxpayers.
The taxpayers should write letters about that to their state representatives.
Well, don't help us.
Well, it would.
okay, public hearing is over, so it's just a commission. You're welcome to stay and listen or whatever, but now it's up to the commission to speak. John,
So I like to amend that motion in that, seeing how the state requires a limit of 3 years, I think this approval should be 3 years. And have them come back and see how, what the progress is in 3 years instead of the 10.
all right,
That's my amendment to the motion.
comments?
State statute is now. I mean, I know those statutes are very
That's good,
confusing.
that's what I'm saying, the state, the letter of approval from the state is limited to 3 years.
For what, Department of Transportation?
No,
Okay, all right, fine.
Well, that's,
I didn't know what you were talking
well, you
about.
got the letter, though.
Because this is a special.
I
permit.
mentioned
It's
that,
a being
though.
a special permit.
No, I mentioned that earlier, is that
Well, I realized. that, but I
based
didn't know
on
what
the
you were
3
talking about.
years. Based on the 3 years, I think I would permit it instead of a 10-year. Or, it's the thing of it is that if you put. Mr. Chairman, if you put on the Mylar, there's a renewal of 3 years, that's it, that's my. Amendment to that
But what are
motion.
you looking for renewal of the special permit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of DPW, I mean, excuse me, because of the DOT.
Because that expires if for some reason the state doesn't approve it in 3 years. Who's checking? I mean, we approve it for 10. Is that what we're gonna do?
I don't know.
What date are you gonna put on the Mylar? For expiration date?
Special permits run with the land, they don't expire.
They don't. But there is a clause in there that's very confusing, there's something they changed and it really hasn't been straightened out and. I had you.
Well, phase one, the encroachment on DOT is everything is in phase one, it's within the first part.
Yes.
So that, I don't think it really makes. They're gonna do all of that, what you're saying, a DOT permit? Right. Within the first 3 years, so that, yeah, they wouldn't be going back for that.
If needed.
And what are they gonna do if you go into phase two? You'll have to get the permit from the state, no? No, it's already been done,
There's no-
because they're gonna do the tie-in to the
Wetland
sewer.
permit's fighting for anything though, the wetland permit's only good for 6 years or something.
The wetland permit would trigger a renewal from the wetlands. I don't know how long the special permits.
Special permits run with the land. They do not expire.
Well, they do, but there's something, they changed something in the state statute and I gotta get that straight, to advise people on. But generally, yes, it runs with the
Mr.
land.
Chair.
What, Mr. Delaney?
Well, let Mr. Rice finish it then.
When I read the April 4th letter from the state.
Yeah.
All right, so this approval is valid for 3 years from the issue date of this letter. What does that mean after 3 years?
It's for the encroachment permit, so the sewer, the work has to be done in the state right away to bring the sewer into this property. Once it's into the property, it's out of the jurisdiction of
Okay.
the state, and so the sewer is gonna be brought in.
So in other words, he has to get it done within 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, any other
My
comments?
motion stays, yes,
What's your motion again?
I motion to approve PZC 23-07 applicant Jason LaValle, Sierra Riverside Drive.
Nice,
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
You get it.
nice.
Did you get that, Kevin? Made by Mr. Kloster, seconded by Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill.
Any other question? You ready to vote?
I just wanna make sure there aren't any conditions I need to know, because when I write up the permit, are there any conditions you guys are placing on it?
What's there,
Ladies.
what's there for conditions? Once he gets
Okay.
past phase one, everything else is on him.
Okay, all right.
Okay, a yes vote will approve. 23-07. We'll go this way around. Alvin,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Ms. Alsey,
Wake up.
I am awake. Yes, Jane Solacey, yes.
Ray Williams, no, just on the account of what the burden it could put on our taxpayers.
Frank Santos, yes.
John Rice, yes. Dave Plosky, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Charlene,
Charlene,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes. Lost track of the votes, but it's one, it passes with 1,
9-1.
9-1, okay. That's all we need to do on that, right? Then we go on to PZC 23-14 application for Pompeo Road being designated a scenic road.
I'm gonna abstain, I'm probably doing. I'm gonna abstain on the whole vote. I'm gonna
Okay.
abstain on the whole vote, being a property owner on Pompeo.
So they,
I'm gonna abstain.
so
Comments, questions? Well, I don't know about questions. We did it. Motion to be in order.
I'll motion to approve PZC 23-14.
John Rice, second motion.
Anyone, any comments, questions? Stipulations?
This is the one stipulation that I had last time with Roland Davis said, the face of wall, the face of wall, and the right of way.
All right, so you wanna say that real clearly so I can write that in? So what did you say again?
The right of way shall be defined as face of wall to face of wall.
Okay.
Anyone, any questions, comments? Hearing none, you're ready to vote. Those in favor of approving,
Well, you gotta take a roll.
I'm sorry,
You gotta take a roll.
Roll call.
yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Oh, it sounded like you were calling for everybody to go aye and nay.
No,
Sorry,
Just-
I'm
just
over
reading-
caffeinated, Randy. Give me a-
a vote, a yes vote is approval of the scenic or the designation of scenic road. Alan,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Krugel, no, it's a beautiful road, but I think it's just designating it means more traffic and you're taking away the rights from the property owners.
Jane,
Right in line with you, James Halsey, no.
Ray,
I'm on the fence both ways myself, but
It's a hard one.
I'm gonna say yes.
Brian Santos, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Poplarski abstain.
John B. Linky reluctantly is gonna say yes, because I think the road should be, it's a nice road to be scenic and everything. But we still should, and I'm just wants to get on the record that the property owners do have their rights. So whoever wants to do whatever on their property should be given that room.
Arlene,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Motion passes.
Motion.
7-2.
Motion passes 7-2 and 1 abstention. Citizens' comments. Hearing none. Applications received.
Okay, so you got a application from
That's it.
2316, which the application says 2319, and you will get a new number next month. It's actually 2316. No, 2316 is next.
Yep.
Janet and I, who is the designer of the what I call the subdivision, we disagreed that it's re-subdivision as opposed to just a subdivision. And I can honestly say, I know that I looked at it and I had to call Francisca to tell her that it was re-subdivision. So Jen and I are going to be discussing this.
What application you talking about?
2316,
Okay.
Yeah.
This,
which I said was,
what we're on applications received.
yeah, that was received and you have to accept it for a public hearing. So I'm explaining to you, the commission, as to what you want to do. Janet, do you want this to go for a public hearing, or you want to wait a month so you and I do the research?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Fran Morano, 279 Lowell Davis Road. This is my property. I'm looking to split it into 2 lots.
I did research on it. I called her and told her that according to what I was told, that was a previous subdivision. Do I have the notes on it? No, I don't have the notes, so I don't, I'd have to look it up. So just do it for next month.
Is the application complete?
Cindy. I can answer.
Cindy.
your question.
No, thank you. No.
No,
The
what lot is
application
subdivided?
complete. If it's not, just don't accept it and come back and.
Okay,
get everything
that's
together.
what I'll do.
All right, make that motion.
So what is the motion?
What are we doing?
You need to put this off until we get the answer.
Yeah,
Until, look,
yeah.
Put it
I
off
make
till
the
next
motion
month.
that we put this application on hold until all the information is brought forward.
Yeah,
Complete.
until the
Until
correct,
it's
yeah.
correct
until we correct the
information, but it's all-
If it needs to be correct.
second.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Alvin's
Yes.
motion and Jane's second.
Thank you, Bill,
To
anyway.
hold this on, to put this on the agenda for next month.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you're accepting the application, Cindy, the clock starts.
Wait,
That's
let
all right.
me step-
Let him get the
Okay,
answer.
all right,
and-
so why don't we withdraw, Janet, do you want to withdraw, Fran, you want to withdraw the application?
Well, can it be received this month and then we decide next month what it will be?
Please, how can we
It's
discuss
incomplete,
it?
yeah.
Well, that's not what I was told, okay.
All right,
I will
You voted
recheck
to
it.
go on for-
I will recheck it, but I know I checked it, because I.
We don't
literally
have all the
called her.
information. Have
What's
some
your
on this.
recommendation? To
I recommend
withdraw
you withdraw the
Withdraw it,
application
yeah.
and resubmit it.
Okay.
it? Is that Ms. Morano's
Fran,
decision?
is
or-
that okay with you?
No, but how does that affect the timeline?
30 more days.
Excuse me?
Well, if it's withdrawn, does that mean then it gets received at the next meeting
Well,
and voted on in July?
if it's withdrawn and it turns out that it is just a subdivision then you come to the next meeting in June to have it approved by site plan approval, site plan with commission approval.
That's fine, thank you.
But if I'm correct, and I have to look up why I was correct and why I made that decision, then yes, it is a 2-month.
Okay,
So
All right, so Ms. Morano is
So
will
are you
to
gonna
withdraw.
withdraw on that answer, Fran?
correct.
Okay. She's
Okay.
withdrawing the application.
So,
Now, do I need to come in and submit a new application?
Oh, no. Absolutely. Well, a new application, yeah, but we'll give you a different number. Yeah.
26,
We'll straighten it
23,
out.
16 won't exist.
right, 23 PZC
23.
23 applicant, French River Materials, owner strategic commercial realty. Incorporated doing business as Rawson Materials, 307 Reardon Road, map 156, block 8, lot 7, zone BBD, renewal of gravel mining in operation to excavate sand and gravel on zoning gravel zoning regulations. Anyway, Good evening.
Good evening, commission members. Harold Hopkins from French River Materials. I'd like to say that I also left my house this morning at 6:30. And I'm not gonna be able to bring the energy that Mr. Moore.
that's good because you're going to be here alone by the time.
Here's the big site plan.
So we continue to create developable space. This past year, things didn't move as quickly as in previous years. But the map that's been provided to show current conditions show that the phase 1 area has been completely excavated, and the majority of phase 2 have been completely excavated. Phase 2 now starts to take a turn and follows the roadway. And there's a little more of phase 2 to be completed. Everything continues as has been. Rail cars are still a part of the way things are done there. In fact, I believe there's 20 cars sitting there right now, waiting to be loaded and sent on the way. So we're just here tonight to ask for the annual renewal of this project.
You'll still spend pretty much all year in phase 2.
Phase 2 should be completed before we come back before you next year.
Going on
Phase 1 is
3.
all reclaimed.
Well, the understanding with this, because it's going to be developed and paved, that there wasn't going to be topsoil and seeding done.
Motion would be in order. I
Make a
guess
motion to accept Planning and Zoning Commission 2317. Application for renewal.
I second.
Can I just make a comment? I
Yes.
went out there today, this review of the property and we need to been, as we can be in an operation like that. It really is organized.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Hopkins or Cindy? Or are you ready to vote?
Just the renewal, right?
Yeah.
Right. And with the understanding that they will be encroaching on into the third phase. Alvin,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Okay, Mike Kruger, yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
I said those, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Popowski, yes.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Charlotte?
Langlois, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes. Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. PZC 2319, Town of Thompson, 815 Riverside Drive, Planning and Zoning Commission. Application for Town of Thompson zoning regulations to correct zoning districts for certain parcels to reflect access to public utilities. Article 2, Section 9, amendments.
So that should say correct the zoning map, not the zoning regulations, but
Okay,
that's okay. So
Is the application complete? Cindy?
Ask her if she did it.
Well, yeah, but you accept that. It's yours.
It's part of it, it's part of it.
No, she isn't. She's the town planner.
Okay. I don't know what you want from me. There's the application, right here.
John's just being
I
feisty.
don't know what you're doing, that poor John.
He's slicing throats over.
Yeah, it's complete. She gave me the list. She gave me the list. She
Then
gave
we'll-
me the list of the-
okay, so this is to accept the application for
Then we'll
public
accept
hearing.
it For public hearing, that's all I want.
That's all we want to do.
I'll second that. If that's a motion, I'll second that.
Did you decide on a date?
Next meeting.
Bring ice cream and soda.
The next meeting, make a motion that we accept the application PZ 2319, Town of Thompson. And schedule it for, I don't see the date for next meeting.
June 26th.
June 26th, right there.
June 26th.
Okay, motion made. Who seconded it?
I'd second that.
Dave Kultowski seconded. Set the public hearing for the next meeting, June 26th, 7 o'clock here. Mr. Linky,
John B. Lanky, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
John Ice, yes.
Yes. Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salter, yes.
Mike Vogel, yes. Sullivan Hill, yes.
Charlene,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes. Applications received after the agenda.
No,
Well, I should have said the vote was unanimous. I suppose somebody could figure that out, though, right?
He's got it.
No applications after agenda. Old business, none. New business, citing council of exempt modification, 61 Lowell Davis Road.
I have the whole thing here, if anybody wants to see it.
They're putting a generator there.
What was that?
Like they're putting a generator there, I think. That's it.
It was a replacement.
Yeah, I just, as it was recommended a few meetings ago, when we got these, just do the cover letter instead of the whole application, because that's a lot of paper. So it's right here, if anyone wants.
It's approved by the city council already.
It's
so
city council,
it's-
yeah.
It's done.
Yeah,
It's done deal.
So do we even need to make a motion on it?
I don't think.
No, I just wanted to.
Okay.
Information.
Just information.
That's so. we can
Discussion.
still use our phone.
Citizen discussion of fence regulations.
Okay. You're up.
I don't know where to begin, other than the fact that I gave.
Well, they received the communication that you gave me, and hopefully they, read the communications.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the members have a chance to.
Yeah.
review it.
Okay.
At this point, if you have read it, the only thing I can do is petition that the changes be made to the regulations, because they are rather vague and incomplete. And it'd be too much for interpretation. It costs me an inordinate amount of time and money to solve the problems that do not need to exist. So what I would like to see are changes that it makes sense, changes that and people can agree on. Because when dividing two pieces of property, we are dealing, I'm gonna draw in my next one days as a craftsman, an irreducible line. So if a township allows a person without a permit, without any criteria, without any prior notification or survey of their land, there is a situation, and I'll try to illustrate it as best I can with this table. This is a property line. I come home, I find a pole that has a base of about 1.5 feet or so in diameter onto my land. That is infringing on my land.
Yep.
And so because of that, now we are in a dispute that does not need to exist if the regulation states a simple
in basic fact. Before installing a fence, a setback that is reasonable must be required so that the maintenance of that fence, well, first of all, it does not infringe on the other properties on the other owner's property. Secondly, the person who elects to erect a fence, irrespective of what it is, does not have the right to trespass on my property in order to maintain it. And so I found myself having to pay for a survey because I came home one day and a contractor was putting a fence in, and he said, you know, I don't have to basically answer anything, but your neighbor pointed a line that I can follow. And I'm gonna put the fence in until I'm done. They had to move.
Well, that's fair. Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
You're saying, so if I want to build a fence next to your property, I have to be 5 feet or whatever feet, 3 feet back from the property line onto my property before I can put up a fence. So therefore, in essence, I'm giving you that 3 feet of.
You're giving me nothing.
Well, what am I gonna do with it except throw spaghetti?
You're giving me nothing other than the latitude that if you put your fence on the property line, then I put my fence on your fence. Why should you have the right to put a fence unchallenged on a property line and not have time come in and put my fence directly attached to yours? How do you reconcile the fact that you can come to a line which is irreducible? It cannot be made any smaller. And put your fence on my property.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm not sure that I'm prepared
Okay.
to try and give you a resolution to this tonight.
No, I am not asking for a resolution at this moment. I'm asking you to consider the fact that properties are a subject of dispute. The regulations of a township should reflect a philosophy that keeps people from having to solicit court, surveyors, and so on and so forth. The line is established. It's a very simple thing. I know where my property boundaries are. The regulation should be as follows. I come to the town, I pay for a permit, which we need revenue for, in view of the fact that the taxes go up all the time. So I pay for a permit to erect a fence within the guidelines of what is permissible. Then I notify my neighbor of the intent of putting up a fence. And I need to leave a space from this property line, which allows me to maintain my fence. And when it's my time to erect a fence, if I choose to, I stay away from that property line of the same margin that I'm asking for the above. It is that simple. There's nothing complicated about it. The issue is that the regulations as they are right now discriminate against someone like me who may or may not have the intention of putting up a fence, but wakes up one morning and finds one erected because this town does not have any specific language about how you go about erecting a fence and maintaining it.
Okay.
Can I-
So
can I-
Dave,
So in the definition of fence, a freestanding structure intended for division no more than 7 feet tall while maintaining maintenance space to owner's property line on either side.
Yes, absolutely.
A fence or structure over 7 feet in height shall meet setbacks. So I can remember discussing this in the regs.
you chair the meeting.
One of the
A
problems,
couple minutes, I'll be right back.
We're on hold.
Keep on going.
you know, one
Dave's
of-
got it under
So,
control.
so what I'm saying is, we had a discussion about this, and I can remember it, it was
Very clear.
it was a heavy discussion about considering where we stood with property lines. We don't know, how do we define property lines? We said,
I'm sorry, I think
I don't know your name. My name is Joseph.
Dave Paulowski.
I'm Dave, I'm sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Well.
So we tried to, no, let me just finish, let me answer your question.
Yeah.
So we talked about what was the fairest way for people to be able to erect a fence and to maintain both sides of that fence for the exact situation you're saying.
Right.
And I think that in the regulations, it states it clearly that it needs to have a maintenance buffer to be able to maintain for the owner.
But that regulation that you're referring to, I searched through the different editions. And the only reference I could find to that regulation is when that fence is high enough to meet the requirement for a setback. The fence to which I'm referring is not that tall. I have no issues with the size of the height of the fence.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't object to a neighbor erecting a fence 100 feet tall, as long as it's on their property.
And that's what it says, that's what it says in the definition, it has to be a maintenance.
But what I'm getting at is when you have no regulation that is observed and you find yourself in a situation where a fence is being erected, you walk up to the person, you say, you're clearly on my land. I know exactly where my boundary line is, pin to pin. And I'm telling you that you're on my land. And that person said, you know what? Sulie, what do you do?
I think I can figure this out. And we, as I think I spoke to you when we talked on the phone.
I think I never met you, but I think you must be the lady that I spoke to on the phone.
Yeah, I think so. So the commission, as a general rule, tries to do little updates every year to catch things that are inefficiencies. And this certainly, you know, without saying one way or the other, which way the commission would go, I think would be a worthy topic for discussion in this year's, and we were even going to skip it this year, but because we have some mandatory updates because of FEMA, we may as well, you know, do a list. So what I would initially suggest is that some of the ambiguity that the gentleman is identifying, maybe because you found it in the definitions, but that is actually not in the body of the regs.
Yeah.
So possibly reiterate or shifting that language from location A to location B might make that a little clearer. And maybe seeing if we can get a little of the ambiguity out there and what enough space for maintenance leaves. And,
I agree.
and that's without saying it should go one way or the other.
It needs to be clarified better.
Thank the gentle lady over there for helping me out with this, because that is part of the problem, the specificity and how things are referenced. Now, most of us who do not deal with these problems on a daily basis are not skilled enough to be able to navigate the regulations or the references of where they may be. That is a daunting task unless you are trained or deal with it all the time. So in my view, it is a simple thing to correct and make a more harmonious environment for people who butt one another. So that come over and say, hey, David, I'm thinking of putting a fence up, you know, and well, you know, I'm even gonna ask you, what kind of fence would you like to see?
I'd love to have you for a neighbor. I got Ray next to me.
I think you're point, but you know, you see, I'm retired from a very long time.
Yeah, can I?
I retired from a very long public utility about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had 22 townships under my survey. And we put up a lot of fences. And when we put up fences, we do not do it unannounced, without following regulations, whatever they may be, for that township. And so what I'm saying is that, yeah, well, you know, I would like to be your neighbor as well, but the thing of it is, I don't know if I want to be your neighbor. If you just surprise me with something that is not on your land, and it's on mine.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. DiCarlo.
Yes.
a lot of this confusion happened quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
The state in their infinite wisdom decided to exempt fences over 7 feet from a building permit. Now, where the weakness is in our regulations, it needs a zoning permit.
No,
Precise.
it's the other
Every
way
fence,
around.
whether it's retaining walls are up to 3 feet, do not need a building permit.
I am approaching this and mentioned a permit simply because the township can lose a fair amount of revenue by not requiring a permit.
A zoning permit is
Whichever.
required.
No, it's not.
What?
No, it's one of the two things that's exempted from zoning permits in the general,
Statutes?
no, in the general requirements in our regulations, it's fences under 7 feet tall and mailboxes.
Can I suggest that,
And
It's crazy.
Because that's what you guys.
It's like allows anybody to put up a fence. Under 7
whereabouts
feet.
are you at on your fence now? Is there a fence there that was,
the original fence, which was installed on my property, was moved away from my property and observed a distance from the line, which was not enough to be able to maintain it from the external side of the fence. But since it was a black chain link fence, most often you do not need to go on the other
there's the
side.
side, yeah?
Exactly a year later, almost to the date, that same neighbor contracted another contractor who came in and removed the chain link fence, has installed a stockade fence, which is just marginally short of 2 feet, depending on where you are. Now, they went better than the last time, because if you have read the material that I furnished the gentle lady here.
They would say on that material.
I'm gonna read it. I informed them, because they were being obstinate and less than friendly, that I would not put up with them coming on my property to do anything with their fence. So please, you put up a fence, give yourself room to work on. That's all.
Okay.
That's all. Now,
Um,
So I would submit to the
abundantly-
commission that we can take this up as a part of that discussion. I mean, obviously, there is no decision to be made here tonight. So
Right.
we've got your materials.
Yeah, I am not making any demands, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
The members of this board to look at this. And objectively look at what I wrote. Yeah, some things may seem idealistic as far as the setback, I think the 4 foot setback is more than ample. But that only makes it comfortable for the person who has to do maintenance. I wouldn't object to whether it is 3 feet, if you feel like squeezing not like that's fine.
Yeah.
But I expect the same of me if I was to do the same thing. I'm not saying that it's like it applies to everyone else but me. Boundaries are a recognized fact. They were recognized by the state and recognized by the town,
we know.
because you're taxing me, not you, it's taxing me on the size of a lot. And my lot goes from pin to pin, from boundary line to boundary line, and a boundary line cannot be defined as any thickness.
all right, we've got to
Because it's
do
an
some,
imaginary.
we've got to do some research on it. I think that we know where you're at, but we're not going to resolve anything tonight. And
No, it's in the work.
I did not expect a resolution tonight. I only wanted to bring it up to your attention, all of you folks, in the hope that you will look at it and consider it for what it is, because what I've dealt with cost me an inordinate amount of money. In my view, I never needed to go through it. And it caused friction where none needed to exist if the regulations were more specific. And in one paragraph.
So your letter will be put in my folder, that is suggestions for amendments.
I apologize, my voice is a little rough, and I'm trying to talk above the
No voice.
No words, because it definitely want to come up, so,
No, we appreciate you coming in and bringing it to our attention, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Take
folks.
it under advisement.
Have a good night.
Yeah, because
Thank you.
the definition that you read, only half of that is in the regulation.
Yeah, this is the state. I mean.
In the
look at it by
regulation
ordinance.
itself.
The regulation
Yeah.
itself, only
Yeah.
half is what you read for the
Yeah.
definition.
Power,
With the definition.
a little bit
Yes,
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, I was surprised that no, it was only. Of course.
Usually.
You had zoning.
Okay, moving on. Item 10, approval of P and Z minutes. For April 24th, regular meeting.
Make a motion, we accept them.
Mr. Chair, I would like, before the motion is made, couple corrections.
Okay.
Even though I wasn't here for that meeting, but I did go into the Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
If you go to number 2, first page, roll call seating of alternates, you have Dave Hopelock, Ray Williams, James Johnson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have alternates, Brian Santos, John Rice, Izor, and Randy Blackland. There is no mention of absentees. In other words, my name wasn't mentioned.
Oh, Sean.
Oh, but that's not correct. Then
okay.
pay attention.
But that's on the seating of alternates.
Correct.
That's all that's addressing. They
Yeah,
didn't-
but it,
They didn't seat anybody for you.
The May
So
8th
they didn't have to put it in the
but
minutes.
we always had in the past that who were absent that
Always
night.
has been.
April 24th.
Okay, all right. And then my next one is on number 17. Where Jane made her made her motion to adjourn, then it says seconded by second, all in favor, who was seconded? Who made the second? That's a good one,
Everyone.
everyone, that's a good one.
Okay. Was somebody else have a question on the minutes? Hearing none. Those in favor of the,
Did anybody second the motion?
No, it said second by second.
No, the motion to approve
Right.
tonight.
Wait, hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
you got more?
I do have a question. All right, when we were discussing the special subcommittee meeting,
That was next, that's a different,
That's a different sheet.
yes, but the motion would have been made on this.
no, the motion was made on the April 24th meeting and that was the
That's what I'm
26th.
talking about. What one are you talking about?
Well, 24th was our,
Regular meeting,
yeah, okay, go for it.
at which point the motion would have been made to hold the special subcommittee meeting,
Oh, all right.
yes?
No, I think you guys had made
That
that.
had been made
in-
before, I believe.
It just happened.
That was the month.
That was the
before.
month
It just
before.
happened at the subcommittee meeting was 2 days after the regular meeting.
Oh,
But you
okay.
had already
That's
made those
because our
before.
planning and development director said there was no days that we could do in between.
All right, so
Like, oh, brother.
ready to vote on a-
I'll make a motion, we
approve the minutes.
approve the minutes, with Mr. Lanky being accounted for in the absentee.
It's the correct thing to do.
Yeah, no, that's why I put it.
In a second,
I'll second it.
thank you. Motion made and seconded, approval of the PZC minutes for April 24th with the corrections to Mr. Linky. Vote for that, Mr. Linky? You weren't even here, though.
I can bring it.
He can actually vote if you listen to the recording.
I listened to the whole recording on the YouTube.
All right, you're gonna vote or not?
Yeah, I'll vote.
Okay.
Nothing-
Which way you voting?
I want the corrections.
Okay, I
It's with the
voted.
corrections.
That's with the corrections was the motion.
Correct.
Dave, let's move along.
Yes, David Plotkin, yes.
John Rice abstained.
Ray Williams, yes.
Saint Salty, yes.
I go, yes.
Melvin Hill, of course.
Charlene,
Darlene abstain.
Randy Blackmer, yes. And I lost count, but I know it's positive.
It passed.
All right, approval of the April 26th subcommittee meeting. Anyone care to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes from the subcommittee meeting, April 27th.
Six.
I second that.
Gotta let her around.
Jane second.
Yeah, I'll let Jane.
Fantastic.
Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, a vote. Yes, is approval. Subcommittee meeting. Mr. Lincoln.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes, the chairman did an exceptional job that night.
Unrest thing, then.
I said to go.
Ray Williams, yeah.
Thanks, Halsey, yes.
Mike Kugel, yes.
Alvin Hill, no.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Randy Blackmer,
No
yes.
further actions on the
Motion.
subcommittee? We need to talk this again and again and again.
Just to approve the minutes, Al.
It's just approving minutes and that night when we voted, it was a done deal.
Right, okay,
It's
I
that
agree
deal.
with that.
What he's saying is no good.
Reports of officers and staff.
No further action.
Budget report.
Subcommittee on this topic.
Budget report, we had, no expenditures this month, and we are 87% of budget spent with about 1 month to go.
Yep.
1 month left.
We'll do it, we'll make it.
Yeah,
I didn't hear anything, I
I
don't,
said
yeah, I don't know about the.
Any questions?
Huh?
John, I didn't know.
No. No, there's all
That
zeros.
idea.
Neither do I.
Encumbrances. All right, moving on.
Okay, report of the planner.
I had to wear.
So
Okay.
the revised subdivision regulations were officially effective as of Saturday. I updated them on the website today. Made hard copies. Anybody who hasn't gotten them yet, get them now, or if I somehow didn't make enough, which I think I did, just get them from me during the week. The books that I ordered are also here for anybody
Right
who
there.
wanted one, who didn't get one. They actually came the day after I ordered them, which is amazing. So I just wanted to very briefly touch on those properties to be rezoned, potentially to be rezoned. Although strictly speaking, we are not required to do a notification on that because we don't have to send letters to butters when we do our own, because it's only 40-ish properties. I will be working with Cindy probably. I was going to say probably tomorrow, but I actually have kind of a tied up day over the week to write up a letter to send to those affected property owners, explaining the nature of the changes, what the implications are, and then, hopefully we can bang that puppy out, and then you guys will be done with the major updates for quite some time.
Take the summer off.
Take the summer off.
No.
Any questions for Tara? Hearing none. ZEO memo.
You have any questions?
Hearing none.
Don't have any questions on it?
Good correspondence, is Connecticut Federation of Planning and Zoning Agency newsletter and Town of Douglas Community Development Department public hearing. Signing of Mylar, no Mylar tonight, right?
No.
ZBA, saw the minutes in the packet.
And you didn't get a report on the, they thought it actually came, the request to come to the meeting, and so they gave a report at the ZBA meeting.
Citizens' comments? Bill?
Bill Warner, 243 Lowell Davis Road. There seems to be some confusion on P79, whether or not it's a division or subdivision. All I can say is I bought my land in 1982. At the same time Fran bought her land, and before I bought the land, those two lots were one lot. So they were subdivided in 81 or 82. So it would be considered a re-subdivision at this point.
Thank you.
We'll take it under advice.
I thought you were talking about.
My lot was subdivided off of her lot because she could not afford to buy the whole piece of land. So they specifically cut 7 acres off of it. It was a 25-acre lot, 32-acre lot. And she bought 25 and I bought the other 7.
Bill's doing your homework for you.
I did it already upstairs in the assessor's
Okay.
office, but Janet didn't like it.
Commissioners,
Wait,
comments?
you've got one more in the Zoom.
Oh. Who's in the Zoom?
Valerie.
Valerie?
Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. Agenda item number 9B. I never heard that citizen that spoke introduce himself or where he lived. Could someone please share what he either said and I missed, or what should have been said, please?
He never said his name. No, he didn't.
I thought he did.
I'm sorry for that. I didn't pick that up quick enough. And his name is
Joe.
right in a second.
David, you know, he Huh? He introduced himself to you.
Cindy's looking it up now.
Pedo. No, DICADO, but I'll get it on the Nat Geo and I'll make sure it's correct.
You said you want to be his name.
The fence guy.
Okay,
DiCarlo, right?
DiCarlo, yeah, I guess it's
Carlo.
DiCarlo.
Well, it did say
Close.
He did.
If that's not good enough, Cindy will
My place to say it.
pick it up on and get it
And
for you.
what was the address, please?
I don't know.
It was in the letter.
Oh,
wasn't
but
it?
excuse me, 255 Fabian Road, North Rodersdale.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It is Joe DiCarlo down the bottom of the letter.
Commissioners' comments. Get late and had time enough, no comments, move on. Next meeting is June 26th. Same time, same place.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
And
Second, third, fourth, or fifth, whatever.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
while you're sitting here, I would just like to wish members. if
Thank you.
have any
Adjourn. Meeting adjourned.
June, please get it to me by